might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
Hello and welcome back to Basics for Beginners, where we put the fun in fundamentals.
Today, we will be focusing on discovering the fun of catching. Catching is an important fundamental movement skill that lays the foundation for many sports and games, such as basketball, cricket and football. But it can also be applied to everyday life.
Emma, can you check me the pen?
Sure.
Catching requires the correct positioning of the arms, moving the hands up and under the object, and using the correct amount of control to hold the catch. The proficiency of catching is measured when an individual has mastered all the components in sequential order. Catching is introduced to the prep and will be mastered, or should be mastered, by the end of grade 2.
Research shows that learning these fundamental movement skills at an early age increases an individual's potential for a healthy and active lifestyle. Today, I'm going out to find more about catching. Have fun! Hi guys, I'm here on location at the lovely Deakin University, Warn Ponds in Geelong, and I'm with 7-year-old Erica. Hi Erica.
Hi.
Do you know what catching is?
Yes, but I'm not good at it.
Can you show me?
Yeah, okay.
Erica should be able to complete the first 3 components of catching for a person her age. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Great job! That was really, really good.
Thanks.
Can I just help you with something that I learnt when I was learning how to catch?
Yep.
I want you to just put the ball between your legs for me, just so that your hands are free to listen to my story.
Yep.
I want you to imagine you've got a bird up in the sky.
Yep.
And he needs a nest to land in.
Okay.
Can you make a nest with your hands for me?
Like that?
That's right. Can you raise it up nice and high? Because it's up in a tree.
Yeah.
And when that bird lands in that nest, he needs to be able to feel safe and protected.
Yeah.
So can you bring that nest to your chest? Awesome, you've got it.
Thanks.
Now why do you think I told you that bird story?
I'm not sure.
I want you to think with that story, the bird is the ball coming into you, and your hands are the nest that the ball lands in.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then once you've caught the ball, you bring it to your chest.
Okay.
Bird in the hand, bird in the nest, bring it to your chest. Bird in the nest, bring it to your chest.
Bird in the nest, bring to my chest.
That's it, you've got it.
Awesome.
Do you want to have a practice with the ball now?
This one.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
One more time. That was great.
Thanks.
As Erica had already accomplished the first 3 components of mastering the skill of catching, the bird in the nest bring to the chest analogy is a fantastic way for young learners to understand the final 3 components to be able to master catching. But with any fundamental movement skill, it's not mastered in one day. They must practice, practice, practice. Erica, with a little more practice, you'll master the skill of catching in no time.
Awesome. I'm going to go practice now.
As for me, I'm heading back to the studio.
Hi Emma, how was Deakin?
Oh, it was fantastic. I helped 7-year-old Erica learn the final 3 components of catching.
Oh, that's brilliant. How did she go?
It was so good. She already had the first 3 components down really well. She had her eyes focused on the ball, she had her body in the right position for where the ball was coming, and she had her arms outstretched, ready to catch.
Oh, that's just brilliant.
It was. She just needed that little bit extra help learning the last three components.
Emma, what were the last three components you taught Erica?
The last three components of catching involve raising your hands, ready to catch the ball, accepting the ball, and then bringing it to your chest.
Oh, very good. So did she pick up on this?
She did really well after I gave her the analogy of bird in the nest, bring it to your chest.
Oh, that's how I learned. Bird in the nest, bring to your chest.
Exactly, and it's so easy for young learners to learn nest, chest.
Absolutely. Ways in which teachers can modify catching when they're teaching it is using the TREE rule. T for teaching, R for rules, E for equipment, and E for environment. Emma, how did you use the acronym TREE to help Erica learn?
Well, to begin with, for my teaching, I used an age-appropriate analogy for a young learner to learn the final three stages of catching with the bird in the nest, bring to chest.
Absolutely, that would have worked perfectly.
It
Did you have to change the rules at all?
I didn't really have any rules other than how to learn how to catch, so I didn't really have to modify those.
Right, and what was next? Equipment. What equipment did you use when teaching Erica?
I used a large surface ball because Erica's only 7 and she's small. The bigger the surface area of the ball, the easier it is to catch.
What other ones did you use?
As Erica gets further advanced with her learning of catching, you can change the ball to make it smaller if she's proficient at it, or in the early stages, because she wasn't that great, you can even use a beanbag.
Why do you use a beanbag?
Well, with the beanbag, it's small enough to fit in her hands, and if she drops it, which let's face it, a lot of kids learning to catch do drop all the time, it can't roll away. So that means she's got more time to practice.
Oh, and less off time.
Exactly.
The final E, environment. What did you do for environment, Emma?
In the environment that I had Erica training in, it was friendly, it was safe, Erica felt comfortable, but it was also small enough to be confined that if the ball did get away from her, she didn't have to spend a long time chasing it. She'd get back on task.
Absolutely. So Erica was lucky enough to have one-on-one learning with you, Emma. That's fantastic. So how would you implement that into a classroom when you're teaching 25 students?
In a classroom environment, it is still really easy to teach learners how to catch. You can get them to pair off with each other, you can get them to do it in small groups, or you can even use a rebound ball, like I had Erica do. Let's have a
So Emma, what if you had a student who had an injury? How would you cater for their needs?
Again, simple modification of the catching activity. If somebody in your classroom has a broken leg, they can still sit down and participate in the catching activity. If they have a broken arm, for another example, they could then give their classmates feedback on the way they are responding to the activity themselves.
That's fantastic. So some of the common errors, Emma, would be things like not focusing on the ball. I know when I don't focus on the ball, I drop it.
Exactly, that is one of the biggest common errors. But also turning your head away because some kids are afraid of the ball, or not getting their body into the right position to begin with.
Yes.
They are really big common errors. I think though one of the biggest common errors is catching the ball with your arms instead of your hands.
What do you mean catching with your arms? That doesn't make sense.
Catching your arms is when the kids are scooping the ball to their chest, not catching and bringing it to their chest.
Oh, so there's no control.
No control at all. The ball.
So some of the strategies that we can use to cancel out these common errors would be things like using the anagram,
Exactly.
the bird in the nest, bring to the chest, and also filming students. I heard that's really common these days.
Filming students is a great way for you to see as well as for them to see how they are actually accomplishing these.
And what else? What have we got? We've got feedback. Oh my goodness. Feedback is so important.
It is, but see, not only from the teachers, feedback from the students themselves is a
course.
great learning tool and assessment tool.
Oh, assessment?
Exactly. because they know themselves whether they've mastered the skill. So recapping today's events, today we helped 7-year-old Erica learn the final 3 components to master catching. Hopefully, with a lot of practice and more repetition, Erica will then be able to master the fundamental skill of catching and be able to move on to more difficult skills.
I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Tune in next week because I'm off to discover how to skip. See you later.
Bye.
Some of today's resources included Learning to Teach Health and Physical Education by Catherine Meldrum and Jackie Peters, and Fundamental Motor Skills, a manual for classroom teachers provided by the Education Department. Fundamental Motor Skills, an activities resource for classroom teachers provided by the Department of Education, Victoria. Get Skilled, Get Active, provided by the New South Wales Department of Education and Training. Another resource was AusVALS, under Health and Physical Education from Foundation to Year 10, Movement and Physical Activity, Concepts and Skills. And we'd like to thank our fantastic tutor, Shannon Cunningham, for giving us all the additional information that was used throughout this video.